And if an extraction fan doesn't work, the kitchen gets full of smoke very quickly. It becomes a very uncomfortable environment. At the moment, what we're seeing is there's a lot of insurance companies that have forced, and I use the term loosely, their clients to do the cleaning and produce a certificate because of the risk of the fire. If you are the owner or the manager of a restaurant, take time to know what's going on your roof.
Hello and welcome to My Safety Hub, your go-to source for all things health and safety. My name's Dylan Steyn and welcome to a very special Monday episode where we are joined not only by Orchid Free but also by Werner Rossouw from Lowveld Extraction. Werner, thank you for making the trip and also thank you for joining us in studio today. We have a few questions with regards to Lowveld Extraction, and I would like off by asking you, can you tell us about the origins of Lowveld Extraction and how the company came to specialize in extraction system cleaning?
Certainly. So back in 2018, I was approached by a gentleman in a similar business, asked me to assist with their operations. We did so. And in 2020, because of the COVID lockdowns, unfortunately, that organization had to close down. Later on in the same year, I was contacted by numerous clients, some of the old staff members asking, can we assist? And we made the decision to start. And so October 2020, Lowveld Extraction was born.
Great stuff. No, thank you. And just give us a bit more clarity on exactly it is what you do in terms of the cleaning services.
Right. So Lowveld Extraction specializes in the cleaning and maintenance of commercial extraction systems. These systems are typically found in commercial kitchens. It's referred to as a kitchen canopy or a hood system. These systems extract smoke, hot air, and oil particles from a commercial kitchen environment. And they have to be cleaned every 6 months. So that's what we do. And then, as I mentioned, any kind of maintenance or repair, we can do that as well for our clients.
Awesome.
So you've mentioned the extraction of oil particles, amongst other things, in these systems. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in this industry specifically?
Orchid, arguably one of the biggest challenges we face is the fact that industry doesn't know that they have to clean these systems.
Okay.
We find a health inspector would go on site and tell the client that they have to clean. They approach us and we get on site and the system has not been cleaned in 5 or 10 years. The result of that is there's an excessive amount of oil in the system. That oil is a fire risk, and a lot of people don't know that. With that oil as well, you've got oil leaks, and oil leaks in turn attracts pests. And so the whole thing snowballs. One of the other issues we face is the fact that this industry is not regulated, and it sounds shocking when I say that, but we have a national standard, but there's no governing body that looks over the industry. So effectively, the client doesn't know that they have to clean, and the cleaning company doesn't necessarily follow the standards. So you can imagine it leads to quite a lot of problems in the industry.
Just to branch out quickly, firstly from a fire risk point of view, how do oil particles that are extracted into a system above the grill area where the food's being prepared, how does that create a fire hazard or a fire risk in itself?
Right, it is filled with grease and oil in itself is flammable. Now, yes, there are filters in the hood system that are supposed to be made of stainless steel. In the case that these filters fail or are removed, and there is a flash fire underneath the canopy, due to the nature of an extraction system, there's a vacuum that's formed by the fan. That flame can be pulled through the ducting system and eventually out at the point of extraction,
sure,
where the silencer is full of oil on the roof, the fan is full of oil, and it's very likely that oil can ignite. There are numerous articles, if you use any major search engine and you go look for extraction fire, of restaurants and or buildings that have burned down as a result of an extraction fire because they're not cleaned.
Yeah, and I mean, surely that every kitchen, whether that be in a large corporate or industrial setting, a restaurant, or even a lodge for that matter, every single kitchen needs to have an extraction system. So
Correct.
The level of risk we are facing here is substantial. And if you now say to us, that there's problems and it's not regulated and the guys don't service these types of things, I can start to believe that these oil fires in these extraction systems start to occur quite often, which is of huge concern. So my next question on this matter is, now that we understand the problems we face in the industry, what do you think can be done to mitigate these problems?
Well, ultimately, what we would like to see is the establishment of a governing body that would look after the certification of individuals, the accreditation of organizations that do this kind of cleaning, but also those that are involved in the design and installation of these systems. Often we find a system is installed in such a way that it makes the cleaning part and the maintenance part difficult. At the same time, I think we need to have good conversations with industry, with those involved in the industry, such as the health inspectors, for example, to make this mandatory. At the moment, what we're seeing is there's a lot of insurance companies that have forced, and I use the term loosely, their clients to do the cleaning and produce a certificate because of the risk of the fire. But ultimately, I think what this country needs is a good governing body to make sure that this happens. You know, there's an estimated 1 million extraction systems in this country, and I can tell you that there's not enough companies to clean all of them.
Sure.
So ultimately, I think we need to have a good conversation, and we need to have some kind of organization to get involved and say this has to become law.
Sure. So now let's say, for example, we have the governing body in place. What would the process then be if a client has an extraction system? Take us through what would then happen if a client needs to clean their system, or if they have been given an instruction from the health inspector. Now that there is a governing body, how would you see that system working from start to finish? Would you issue a certificate? How would you go about cleaning it, and what would the end result be then?
Right. So when it comes to the cleaning part, let me take you through what we do.
Sure, please.
So our team members would arrive on site. They would first of all switch off the power to the extraction system, similar to a lockout tagout procedure. We have a sign that we put up on the DB board to make sure that nobody switches it on. The system is switched on off at the roof as well. My staff would then remove any equipment from underneath the canopy. Anything that cannot be removed is covered, so as to prevent any kind of liquid damage. And we then start with the process of cleaning from the top down. As far as is possible and is reasonably safe and is accessible, our staff will access the ducting and remove as much oil as they can from inside the ducting system. The same is true for the filters. The filters are soaked in a tank with very specific chemicals, and then some of the team members would be on top of the roof where they would remove the fan. The fan is cleaned, and as I mentioned, anything on top of the roof, the external components of the system is cleaned from oil. The regulations say that the system has to be cleaned to the bare metal.
Okay.
In other words, you can't just spray a bunch of chemicals and hope that solves the problem. You have to actually scrape the ducting system as well as the fan so that the metal is exposed. And after that, you use a chemical to get rid of any other residue. Once that's completed, the team will put everything back together again, and they will test the system to make sure that it functions the way it's supposed to. All of the client's equipment is put back together and placed where they're supposed to be. And then we would issue a certificate based on the photos that we receive. So my staff would provide me with photo evidence of the before and after of the system being cleaned.
Sure.
And we then issue a certificate to say that this system has been cleaned in line with the South African national standard.
All right. Your website also mentions that you offer training programs. Can you explain to us what it is that you offer?
Right. Thank you, Orchid. Yeah. So back in 2018, we received a number of inquiries from individuals and companies that wanted to get involved in extraction cleaning. They wanted to know, how do we issue a certificate?
Okay.
So we said, instead of us just dismissing the inquiry because it might be competition, let's create a training program according to the SANS 1850 document, and let's roll this out so that we make sure that whoever else wants to get involved knows what they're doing and that they do so properly. So the training program is currently an online program that we wrote in 2020 because we couldn't get together. But this program has been rolled out to probably one of the largest cleaning companies in South Africa. We did this training in their Cape Town, Joburg, and in Durban offices. And as I mentioned, it looks at compliance. It looks at what does the standard require of a cleaning company. It looks at the legislation involved, the processes, and then we also offer a practical where these organizations can come to us in the Lowveld and join us while we're doing an actual cleaning of an extraction system, so that they can see firsthand what it takes.
Okay, so there's a number of elements that I've heard so far. I mean, you've got the certification question. There's the body that you've mentioned that you would like to have created, and there's obviously a high level of proficiency and professionalism that you offer through your services. How do you maintain that level though with your staff?
Right. So regular checks and balances. We have standards in place. One of the things that I try to do is to get to every client, whether it's a new client or an existing client. We do spot checks, make sure that what the staff was supposed to do has been done. If we find that there are areas that are lacking, we would call them back. So it's pretty much playing policeman, but also most of the staff members have in excess of 10 years experience. So they really know what they're doing, and they understand what the expectations are. It's very seldom that we have a situation where we have to bring staff back to a client. But from a quality point of view, we review all the photos that they send us, and we do spot checks. We make sure that the systems work afterwards, and if there are problems, we use that as a training opportunity to reiterate the fact that we have a quality standard in place.
Awesome. How did Lowveld Extraction and Safety Wallets come to work together? How did this start?
Right. So we actually had an incident, probably middle of 2024. It wasn't very serious, but at the time, after the incident was resolved, looking back, I realized that this could have been a lot more serious. In fact, it could have been a fatality. So I started looking at what the requirements are for a safe working environment for ourselves. At the same time, in past years, I've had some of my clients ask me, can I assist them with their health and safety management? And I used to always just say no, because it's not something that we do. But I realized that there's a need for this. There are individuals that really don't know, and they need an expert. They need somebody. So I got involved with, or I got in touch with Safety Wallet because I wanted to do a course through you to do on-site risk assessments or to do an audit, and then I guess from there the conversation opened up about a possible partnership, and the rest, as they say, is history. You know, I saw a very valuable product and service in what Safety Wallet provides. And I wanted to be able to bring that to my clients as well.
Awesome. So now, as a partner of Safety Wallet, you mentioned the products and services through them. What is your plan moving forward? How will you use Safety Wallet in partnership with your company to add value to your clients? How will you bring Safety Wallet services to your clients, and how will that make their businesses better?
Right. So the idea is to bring more than one product or service to our clients. A lot of my clients have expressed a need to not have to go look for different service providers for a variety of items. So we would like to bring everything that Safety Wallet does to our clients, specifically the subscription models, and be there for them as the individual on site that provides consultation or advice, and because Safety Wallet's been in the industry for so long, we have that backup from your side that if there are issues or if there are other queries on site that we can't necessarily handle, that we will be able to approach you guys and bring that to our clients. So the idea is to bring a box of different products and services that we can provide to our clients and bring value to our clients. I've always said, I don't want to just sell something. It has to add value to our client's business, and I believe that Safety Wallet does that.
Awesome. So, like a one-stop shop, basically.
Yes, indeed,
So,
yeah.
servicing extraction systems, cleaning them, and also providing the safety in the
Correct,
same
yeah.
essence as well. And I think that is a brilliant concept, and I think you will do very well in this as well. Now, coming back to your specific services, Werner, you offer a 72-hour breakdown and repair support service. Can you elaborate on what that means for your clients?
Sure. So one of the key components of an extraction system is the fan, the extraction fan. Often we find because of load shedding, because of power issues, because of the use of generators or inverters, these extraction fans have the tendency to blow out. That means a phase is blown on the motor. And if an extraction fan doesn't work, the kitchen gets full of smoke very quickly. It becomes a very uncomfortable environment. So we would offer a 72-hour breakdown service in the sense that if a client phones and says, our fan is not working, we go out, we remove the fan, we bring it in for repair, and try to get it back to the client within a 72-hour period.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes that is difficult because of the outlying areas that some of our clients are in game reserves, for example. But that's pretty much what we're trying to do because it's such a critical component of an extraction system.
Okay, so the turnaround time is a bit tight for you guys, but I think that is invaluable for the client themselves. Because again, as we mentioned now, without the extraction system, the kitchen becomes an unworkable environment and poses significant risks to those employees.
Yes, indeed. And not just that, there are many restaurants with open kitchens. So that smoke eventually drifts into the dining area.
Of course.
So now you have patrons that are sitting in a restaurant that's full of smoke. So
Who's probably never going to come back.
Yeah,
correct.
true.
Yeah. So it really is critical for us to try and get that fan in as soon as possible. What we've also done is we've started suggesting to our clients that they get a backup fan, so that if there's a problem, we go out, we simply switch out fans. Then the extraction system runs within a few hours of it breaking down, and we have time to go and repair the fan again, and that seems to work very well.
So the extraction system, I mean, for a commercial kitchen is obviously very much related to the core business of the restaurant itself,
Yes.
or whichever area they're preparing the food in. But what other health and safety issues have you noticed in commercial kitchens that for you were very notable?
Right. So let's say there isn't an extraction system. You can imagine the kitchen gets very hot, gets very uncomfortable. There is smoke. There is oil particles as a result of the cooking. There is obviously a huge fire risk, especially if you use items such as chip fryer with lots of oil. And then if you have an extraction system that doesn't function the way it's supposed to, you've got noise, a noise problem. If you don't have proper silencers installed on your system, if the fan is too small, if the fan is too big, you've got ducting that starts rattling and vibrating. That causes problems. We've been in a kitchen with the decibel levels have been up to 78 decibels.
No, that's close. That's close to 85. Yeah.
That's very high. And the result is that staff have to start screaming at each other just to
Which
be
just
able to
adds to the
communicate.
problem.
And it adds to the pressure. Yes. So. And then obviously, as we have mentioned, your extraction system has to function optimally. If it doesn't, that creates additional problems in the kitchen. Again, you've got smoke, you've got, and there's a health component to it. There's oil leaks again that draws pests, and some of the things we have mentioned.
So there goes your food quality, there goes your credibility, there goes your trust, and
Exactly.
as a commercial kitchen, there goes your clientele, and so good luck.
Correct. Yeah.
So through my travels, Werner, I came across one particular encounter a while back where a client told me that their extraction system after a major service or repair, whatever the case might be at that time was, they said to me when they switched it on, the extraction system actually sucked air in through the ducting and blew it back into the kitchen.
Right.
Is that something you've experienced before, and what happened there?
Okay, there's a few reasons that something like that might happen. It could be, and I'm saying this carefully,
Sure.
it could be incompetence from the organization that does the cleaning. An extraction fan turns in a specific direction. If the fan is installed incorrectly, it will blow air into the kitchen instead of extracting it. Right. What we've also noticed is if you have a three-phase motor, you have a reverse polarity effect. If let's say there's a breakdown and the fan is installed again and the wiring is done incorrectly, you're reversing the polarity on the motor. So even if it's installed correctly, it's still turning the wrong way. We've also noticed regularly, actually, when a client has an inverter installed or a generator installed, there's some of that electrical work that gets done on the DB board, and quite often, for some reason, that affects the polarity of the extraction fan. So the fan is installed the correct way. It was working perfectly until an inverter was installed or a generator was installed, and then suddenly the extraction fan is turning the wrong way. Or if the generator kicks in, suddenly the extraction fan blows air into the kitchen. If it happened directly after a clean, it's most likely that the fan was installed incorrectly, the wrong direction.
You spoke about the electrical components now. So in the certificate that you issue, does that cover the certificate of compliance from an electrical point of view as well for the building?
No, we don't do any electrical connections, because you need a COC. You need an electrician that does any kind of electrical connection. So if we do remove a fan, if we install it again, we make it very clear to the client that they need to have a qualified electrician do the connections.
To get that certification
Correct,
done.
yeah. We can't issue a COC for electrical components.
All right, awesome. And then what advice would you give to businesses in this regard when it comes to maintaining the extraction? So we spoke about 6 months, making sure that the provider is doing it properly, offering high quality work such as yourselves. Sure. But what other advice would you offer commercial kitchens in this regard to make sure that, that they're considering this risk and how actually it can close their business down if they don't manage it correctly?
Right. So first of all, I would say if you are the owner or the manager of a restaurant, take time to know what's going on your roof. Right. Often a silencer is on the roof, a fan, and the manager or the owner is oblivious to what is actually going on the roof. There's an assumption that the system works and that it works the way it's supposed to. Get a consultant in, get an expert in to advise you to know if your airflow is correct. If your fan is too small, there won't be enough airflow. If your fan is too big, there will be too much airflow, which again creates an uncomfortable kitchen environment because you've got constant noise of air moving past your ears. But take time to get to know your extraction system, know where the issues are, know where the problems are, and know how to fix them. Then, if you're using a service provider, make sure they're reputable. Get somebody that has been in the industry for a while, that is able to supply you with photos of the before and after of what they've done, and somebody that has a solid client base that can vouch for them. Because we don't have an accreditation system or a certification system for companies, do your homework. Don't just buy the cheapest price, because you will regret it.
Yeah, no, I fully agree there, and I think those are very valuable points that carry a lot of merit. And I think we've spoken about a lot of technicalities here, but I want to move on into the spectrum of values very quickly. Safety Wallet has a strong set of values, and I know that Lowveld Extraction has very similar values. How do these two values, both Safety Wallet and obviously Lowveld Extraction, complement each other, and how does that affect the business moving forward for you?
Right, so that's one of the first things that attracted me to Safety Wallet, was what I saw was an organization with a set of firm values. That's important for me because in an industry such as we're working in, where you have to be self-regulated and self-governed, honesty and integrity is very important. For us, specifically with the partnership of Safety Wallet, I like the fact that there's integrity on both sides. But there's also transparency. There's good communication. And this, again, puts me in a position where I'm comfortable to bring another product or a service provider to my clients whom ultimately I have to protect. This puts me in a position where I can confidently say, yes, I can vouch for this product, I can vouch for this service, because I know the people and I know that the organization holds a strong set of values.
It sounds to me as though, the one value that connects the two organizations, probably the strongest, and I may be wrong, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is probably purposefulness. Where if we consider, purposefulness from a Safety Wallet point of view, is making sure that people can get home healthy and safe after work. But I'm hearing from Lowveld Extraction's point of view, very much the same message. It's not just about rendering a service. It's not just about repairing extraction systems. It's about really caring for the clients and making sure that they're looked after, not only from a business point of view, but from the persons that are in that kitchen as well. which for me, makes the alignment very, very strong. So if you then consider, going forward and looking at what it is that you offer to not only your current clients, but prospective clients out there, what sets you apart with this partnership from Safety Wallet, from the rest of everybody else that's doing what you're doing?
Right. I wouldn't be arrogant in saying that we're the best. Right.
Well, you could be. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, we don't know.
You could be.
But I would like to believe that what we do is we make the effort.
Mm-hmm.
So often we would get a phone call from a client saying, look, I've had somebody here, they've had a look at the system, it's not accessible for cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Can you assist? We would go out, we would have a look and we see, but yes, we can actually access the system. It's going to take some effort. Mm-hmm. We might have to rent a cherry picker or get a scaffold going. But I believe that we make the effort. Mm-hmm. We go the extra mile to make sure that the client's needs are satisfied. Mm-hmm. Which based on experience, not many organizations are willing to do. Mm. So I believe that is, and you mentioned purposefulness. We make a plan to make a plan. Mm-hmm. You have to consider all the options. You can't just arrive and say, oh no, sorry, we can't do it, because eventually somebody else will do it, and you're going to lose your client. So for me, it's about making sure that the client's needs are really satisfied, and making the effort.
My next question then is, how does the partnership with Safety Wallet simplify the health and safety management, the health and safety management of your clients or all clients in general?
Right. Well, Safety Wallet has a range of very well developed products and services that I thought would be great because they're user friendly, and they ultimately they do help the client to move towards a level of compliance with health and safety management. If I just use an example of OSHA Online, mm-hmm. Having used your system, you've got everything in one banner. Everything's in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And there's not necessarily the need for massive amounts of paperwork in the office. Everything's stored digitally, and you can recall reports, appointment letters, everything at a click of a button, which I think is very user friendly. Mm-hmm. At the same time, My Safety Shop, you've got a range of services available and products available that directly benefit the client. It's easy to use. It's easy to access. I'm thinking about the training programs, for example. There's not necessarily a need for a client to send somebody out into town for training or to give them off from work to attend a course. Everything's e-learning, and that I think is probably the best or the biggest benefit for my clients. Most of them being in hospitality, is that there's simplicity, but also
and I think for your clients as well, it makes things a lot simpler for you as the person that does the actual work for them. Because if you not only offer a service to your client, but also a health and safety service to them, that if they follow these services from Safety Wallet, you and your team are also working in a much safer environment. If you go to a client and you see that there's a need for health and safety while servicing an extraction system, and you can refer Safety Wallet to them, if they start utilizing that system with your guidance now, obviously, you and your team become or work in a safer working environment.
That's right. Yeah, there are sites where we cannot access the fan because of safety concerns, not necessarily because of accessibility or these kind of things, but because of the way that the system's installed, it is considered unsafe to try and work with it. So yes, absolutely, we can then refer those clients back to Safety Wallet, and with our guidance, actually change the system or look at solutions to make it safer.
So, if you don't mind, can you just elaborate on what those safety concerns could be? I mean, you spoke a bit about the accessibility being one thing, but what could these other issues be?
Well, falling, working at heights.
Working at heights, all right.
Yeah. Most extraction systems are installed in such a way that you can stand on a flat surface and work on the fan. Okay. There are, however, some of them that are vertically installed against the side of a building, 6-8 meters above the ground. And so how do you access them without having to put up a scaffold or having to put up very long ladders? Some instances you can't use a scaffold because the ground is uneven, for example. those are concerns, because a staff member that does work at that height, rarely there's a place where they can clip in if they're wearing a harness, and we don't necessarily want to rappel from the roof with rope work. It just complicates.
Sounds like fun,
complicates. Well, I've done something similar in the past, but it's about making it easy and safe for the staff member. And so if a fan sits at 6 or 8 meters above the ground, remember the fan probably weighs 50 or 60 kilograms. So in order to remove it safely for cleaning is also quite difficult. So that is part of the risks that we face on a daily basis.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is that through the partnership, you're able to assist the client or your client with their health and safety compliance, which in turn makes it safer for your team to function safely as well when they're on the client site.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So it's all about understanding risk, right? And for somebody that doesn't know that it's a risk, we're able to illustrate why it's a risk. And yes, ultimately it's about the safety of my staff. But also we want to make sure that the client has a safer work environment. So yes, you're right.
Awesome. And obviously provide them with the solution at that.
Correct.
If you've now identified these risks that the client was oblivious to previously before you came on site, you can now direct them in a direction through My Safety Shop or through the OSH Online portals, online training and so forth to make that a safer working environment. So you are in essence providing a value add to your clients, not only with the extraction but with safety as well.
That's right, and that's what I said earlier. Is part of the reason why we went into this partnership with Safety Wallet is to add value to our clients. A safe working environment is a more productive working environment.
So with that, what are the long-term goals and for this partnership, and are there any room, or is there any room for possible expansion on the partnership going forward? What do you see in the future happening?
I certainly think there is much room for expansion, and look, industry changes, things change, laws change. We know that the new health and safety laws coming into play, and so I definitely think there's much room for collaboration in the future. We don't know what specifically right now, but definitely our commitment to Safety Wallet is long term, and we look forward to a long working relationship.
Right. So Werner, in closing, what advice would you give other businesses that are also looking for similar strategic partnerships with Safety Wallet? As you've now mentioned, you utilize Safety Wallet as a value-added service in your core business, which is extraction cleaning and services. What is your advice to them or other companies seeking similar involvements?
I would say jump in as soon as you can. Do your due diligence and see if it's going to work for you. But because Safety Wallet has been around for almost 30 years. From where I'm sitting, you guys have done the legwork. You've been around the block. You've got the systems and procedures in place. You've got the infrastructure in place. And what you've developed makes it easy for people like me to go and implement. So for somebody that wants to get involved in a partnership, I think it will be very beneficial. Not just for their clients, or from their clients' point of view, but to take a product that's well thought out, well developed, and that ultimately does lead to compliance, and to go roll it out, broadly across South Africa. There are many individuals out there that do consulting on health and safety, which I think is very valuable. Now just back it up with a solid platform and a solid product.
Right. Werner, thank you very much for your valuable insights in this very fruitful conversation. Oker, thank you very much for your input as well.
Thank you.
And then for the viewers out there, if you liked today's session, please consider leaving the channel a like, hitting that subscribe button, and then dropping a comment down below if you have any questions for Werner at Lowveld Extraction. And as always, stay safe, stay inspired, and until next time, take care.